Today we are here at Pimp Nature Reserve in Chingford for Shroom Sunday 2020, which is a celebration of all things mushroom fungi in honour of UK Fungus Day. I'm here with the London Fungus Network, part of London National Park City, because we want to spread the love of mushrooms and fungi. They inspire us to connect with nature and connect with other people. Shroom Sunday is just a way of bringing people together so as they can experience nature and look at fungi and our environment in a different way. So we've got things like mushroom forays, guided walks with mycologists, where we get to know our fungal neighbours and learn how to identify common species of mushroom and the role they play in the ecosystem, as well as like workshops making mushroom-inspired arts and crafts, how to grow mushrooms at home, art exhibitions. And the finale of the day is our OPEN-MYC session with fungi-inspired poetry, spoken word, plus an exclusive musical performance by MushDonna, international singer all the way from the United States of Amanita. So in this country, in Britain, we have some really amazing countryside and natural environments. But one thing that often is overlooked or dismissed are fungi and mushrooms. And in our country, especially compared to, say, parts of Europe or Asia or the Americas, fungi are often treated with fear and suspicion, what you might call a mycophobic culture. So what we're trying to do is to shift the narrative on mushrooms away from fear and to fascination. At the end of the day, like fungi, they're all around us. I see fungi as my friends, as our friends. They've inspired me to learn about nature and to connect with other people, and hopefully through more events like Shroom Sunday and mushroom forays, then help to get people to get to know their fungal neighbours.
This is Prototaxites. It's paleo art, so it's an attempt to depict something from from the paleontological past, but it's also a sculpture about the kind of collaborative way that mushrooms work and how they live in the environment. So the original thing that it's based on is called Prototaxites, which was the first big thing on the land. So before there were trees and before there were plants sort of higher than your knee, this was the thing that dominated the landscape. It would be 9 meters tall, so it would have towered over everywhere. And some people think it might have photosynthesized. Other paleomycologists think that it might have just been to spread the spores. So it's a bit of a mystery as to exactly what it did. But yeah, it certainly was had a very outsized role in the natural world. It created all of the soil by breaking down rocks. It connected together all of the early plants and allowed for the rest of the land to be colonized. Because prior to that, you just see little strips of green of liverworts and ferns next to the rivers. And after Prototaxites created the soil and connected them all together, we have the modern green landscape that we know today. So it's really the father of the world that kind of we know.
Yeah, and it was around like 400 million years ago.
Yeah.
So it's super ancient. Yeah. So last year, as part of the Fungi Festival that Mike organised, we made it in collaboration with residents of Waltham Forest. So we got people to come and we showed them how to coil build with clay. So we kind of built it together. It kind of evolved over like a 4 day workshop period.
What's in the glaze?
The glaze is like a lichen glaze. We were reading about what the kind of surface of the Prototaxites mushroom might have been. And one of the things is that maybe it would have had like a symbiotic algae living on its surface. So we were looking at all the different kind of like textures and textures that you find in the natural world.
Actually, whether it photosynthesized or not is part of the debate. It's some think it did because it died out when the trees evolved. So trees took its space, and others believe it died out because of predation, just insects and stuff eating it. So that's part of why it has these holes. But these holes are also designed to allow mushrooms to fruit through the sculpture. So inside is colonized sort of food for the mushrooms, and they're living inside. And over time, they're kind of, you can sort of see it here. They're starting to kind of come out and make these beautiful fruits to kind of bring it into the modern age as well as it being situated in the past.
Yeah, and the idea was that it was made collaboratively, and then like our ultimate aim was that the different people could put in like different food waste that would then like nourish the mushrooms that could then kind of grow out of it. And it's interesting as well thinking about the relationship between clay and fungi, and clays and fungi are both often used to kind of heal land where there's been like toxic spills and stuff.
So, this is Shroom Town. And Shroom Town is a collaboration between London Nootropics, who do all the amazing adaptogenic coffee, and Oh My Shrooms, which is all the adaptogenic chocolates that I make. So with the coffee today, we've got 3 blends. We've got Mojo, which is this one. It's got cordyceps and ginseng. They help oxygen flow throughout the body to the different organs, and they increase our ATP molecule, which is our energy molecule. So this is like the energy blend. You get your Mojo. Then we've got Zen. Zen is CBD and ashwagandha. So CBD works on our cannabinoid system. Ashwagandha works on our adrenals. So it keeps us in balance, and we don't release as much cortisol as we do when we drink regular coffee. So it's like the Zen. You get Zen. You feel Zen. And then Flow is with lion's mane and rhodiola. So lion's mane and rhodiola help calm our nervous system, allow us to focus, concentrate, also help with anxiety. So it gives us that space to not get distracted and actually like get work done, like go into your flow. So yeah, these are the coffees. Then we've got another brand here today called Harding Collective. So my friend Charlotte and Leo, they both make these incredible, like I love them. So it's called the Mushroom Magic and the Golden Hour. They are both like a raw cacao and a turmeric blend, and they've got all the mushrooms. So reishi, turkeytail, chaga, lion's mane, cordyceps, and there's no sugar in them. And they've also got spices, so like cardamom, cinnamon, ginger. They grind their own nutmeg as well, so you can like really smell it. It's like a cup of just medicine, which is amazing. So that's them. Then we've got Hifas and Terra soaps. So the soaps are, Hifas have done a lot of research in the field, so they're doing like they're like really helping out the whole mushroom industry. So we've got some soaps from them, and the chocolates that are my babies, hiding from the sun. I don't know if you can see them. So we've got adaptogenic moons with a really indulgent peanut filling with reishi, passion flower, mint, sage, lemon balm. So it's quite a soothing and calming chocolate, like really good for if you're feeling a bit anxious or in the evening when you're ready to wind down. Then the tahini chaga bites, so it's a buckwheat cacao base. I activate the buckwheat, which means I soak it to make them more digestible. Put chaga in it. Chaga is really grounding. It's like a hug. It's good for inflammation in the gut, the skin. And then it's got a tahini caramel layer and then dark chocolate. And then the last ones are the brain bites, so I call them brain truffles. And it's a sunflower seed butter with salt, with lion's mane mushroom. So lion's mane was the brain mushroom, so again, like concentration, focus, and yeah, that's Oh My Shrooms for chocolate.
So hi, my name's Lex. I'm from Fat Fox Mushrooms. We're an urban mushroom farm in North London, and we specialize in a couple areas. So we have mushroom growing kits that you can order from us and grow all sorts of different mushrooms online. So for example, this is a reishi mushroom, which is really medicinal and great for your health. But we also have gourmet mushrooms like oysters and lion's mane. The other thing that we do is we do medicinal mushroom tinctures. So for example, this is cordyceps, which is a really highly medicinal mushroom. It's great for energy. It's quite an interesting one because in the wild they grow on insects, but these are vegan. We have figured out a way to cultivate them and make them vegan. But yeah, we have a whole range of medicinal mushroom tinctures. They're dual extract. So some mushroom properties, medicinal properties are water soluble, some are alcohol soluble. We do both so that you get the full spectrum from the tinctures. We also do cultivation workshops, so we teach people how to grow mushrooms themselves. And we also have Fungi Club, which is we do community mycology projects and events. And we have people who have interesting fungi-related projects come into the space and use some of our equipment. And to support that, we also do a seasonal mushroom box scheme where you'll get, each season, you'll get 2 different species that grow particularly well in that season. And you'll also get our Fungi Club zine, which tells you a little bit about the species and gives you some updates on some of the projects that we're doing in Fungi Club. We did a workshop here about how to grow mushrooms on coffee grounds and cardboard and tea bags. So this is basically, you just need some oyster mushroom spawn and a bucket with a hole in it. And so this one's been growing away for a little while. And I can show you what it looks like. So you can see the mycelium is growing away on the cardboard. And yeah, in another maybe week or 2, this will be ready to fruit. So that's an example of one of the workshops that we do, is teaching people how to grow their own mushrooms.
So what is it exactly about a woodland that gives it this feature that promotes these mushrooms? It all comes down to the late stage of the decay of the wood itself. So whenever you have young woodlands, as much as, you know, we like to think we can plant trees and restore forests, it takes about 500 years to restore a forest, really, because you need to build up these structures of, you know, fallen trees, big branches that are decaying, and all of these factors that then contribute to fungal diversity, especially of the stuff that grows at late stages of decay. These ones are quite cool because when you break the stem, you actually get a nice bright red liquid. These ones, I think these are dried out a bit. Normally when you have a fresh specimen, you get a nice bright red liquid that's coming out of it, and it can stain it. Oh, there we go. At the base of you squish it, and it kind of stains your fingers as well. It's called the saffron drop bonnet. Everyone knows the fly agaric here. You know, the big bright red mushrooms with the white dots on it. Iconic species. This is a relative of that, where it forms more like a tan-coloured greyish brown cap with the white specks on it, or kind of like greyish white. This is actually an edible species, but it's very easily confused with other amanitas that are quite poisonous, to be honest. Look how it blushes pink. This is why it's called the blusher, this one. Not to be confused with the blushing bracket that we've seen earlier, but this is a giveaway feature of the edible species. When you have the panther cap, the poisonous one, it doesn't blush pink like that. Milk cap. So these ones here, if you flip them upside down and you break some of the gills, depending on how dry it is, it starts to produce milk coming out of it. You give it a taste, sometimes it's quite mild, sometimes it's quite peppery and spicy. The spiciness is unlike anything you've tasted with chili before, because you taste it, you're like, okay, not much to it, but then the spice builds up over time. Whereas with chili, you kind of get an instant kick with it. So a lot of people have started to mix up these mushrooms with chili so that you essentially prolong the spiciness effect of it. So there's different ones that have, you know, variations of their flavor. This is a hen of the woods, Grifola frondosa. So these grow massive. So they grow at the base of oak trees. They get very huge. You won't see them on young oaks. They only grow on the more mature oaks that have developed enough heartwood for this fungus to actually start tapping into and decomposing. One of my favorite edible species. It's absolutely, you know, gourmet. Not one that I pick very often from the London region, just because there's just not that much habitat for these species around here. So it's better to clean things in the field and prevent a problem down the line. So, you know, carry a little brush with you, brush things off as they're still a bit dry, and then you have a nice clean specimen before it even enters the kitchen. It's got almost like a fibrous cap on it. It's probably a fiber cap. So these are mycorrhizal species. They're probably the #1 headache for mycologists because there's hundreds of species out there. And all of them are so hard to identify. Sometimes you might have the best field guides out there, but you have a specimen and it just doesn't fit anything else. They're a very difficult genus to work with, and that probably means we just haven't really resolved the genus, which means we haven't assigned the right names to it. There's a lot of cryptic species, a lot of new species, so there's a lot to be discovered within this genus over here. And they tend to have very strong smells as well. So this one's a bit kind of...
Oh yeah.
I mean, as a mycologist, we describe that as spermatic.